Hola guys, I'm Diego. Yes. And here's Code. He still can't speak, but he's here. Terrible was here, he left. He will be back eventually. Not sure if he'll be back soon, but he'll be back eventually. Um, and yeah, so we've done some work. I'm having a bit of a to-do list issue in my head here. That's why Code's here. He's going to keep me focused, hopefully. We've done some stuff in here, moved a few things around. Thermal expansion still sitting right in the hallway because well, I'm lazy and no one else wants to do it. So we're going to come in here, and this is why. Oh, there we go. This is our grand hallway, or the Church of the Helix, or whatever you want to call it. This is kind of our little base area. I think I've shown a little bit of it before, but it is officially finished. You can thank the design for Lord, or thank Lord for the design. That makes a little bit more sense. As you can see, it's fairly crazy and awesome. Yeah, I love it. Honestly, it's great. And then we've got this little thing here. I don't actually know what the shell is. Code, what is that shell thing? What is its actual name in the game? Do you remember? It doesn't come up, I don't think, if I type shell. It does come up if I type shell. It's just an empty shell. Okay. Never mind, I'm stupid. So it does come up under empty shell. Da, 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 da. Anyways, so this is thing. We have a bunch of rooms. So 1, 2, 3 on the right, 3 on the left, and a large room at the back on the upper level. We have similar layout down here with 3 on the right, 3 on the left, and 1 at the end. However, the first ones here are probably getting used for something else. We're not really sure yet. So technically we have 4 down here and the 1 at the end. So to give you guys an idea of what we've actually accomplished, first of all, we've started Tinker's Construct. We have our little, whatever this is called, furnace thing. I don't remember. The giant smelting thing. Yeah, we have one. We use it every so often. Smeltery, there we go. Figured it was something to do with smelting. And yeah, so I think at some point Code wants to automate all this. I'm not sure. Eventually it's going to happen, and you can kind of see through here. Actually, let me go to this room. That's not the right room. I can't get through there. Here we go. Oh, my computer just crapped itself. We have little access tunnels behind all the rooms so that when we're actually doing stuff, it's a little bit more functional. And yeah, so that's our Tinker's Construct room. I need to get out of here. And then down below, we have our Applied Energistics room, I believe. Yes, that's the right one. And Code's actually been the one working on these 2 large rooms. He actually set all of this up and got all the materials and did all the hard work. So we've got our ME crafting terminal and our ME fluid terminal now. The fluid terminal is added by, I believe, Extra Cells. It's kind of an add-on for Applied Energistics. It's really cool. It actually adds a whole bunch of extra stuff. Actually, I'll show you guys right now. We have our drive over here, and in here we have 8 64K fluid storages that have, as you can see, 5 fluid types. And then at the top we have 16 million storages with 63 types. So that's considerably more than the vanilla Applied Energistics, as awful as that sounds. The original mod, I think, stops at, what, 64K? I think. And those are fairly expensive. Just to give you guys an idea, I have to turn mods back on because, you know, 16M. this is the recipe. So it's, you know, 3 diamonds, some fluix dust, which isn't too big of a deal, and then you've got your Terra storage cluster, and then you have your Giga storage clusters and your ME advanced processors with more fluix dust, and then you have your Mega storage, your Kilo storage, and then you have your storage clusters, your storage blocks, your storage segments, your storage cells, and then your Certus quartz. And as well, just to go back a little bit farther here, you have the ME advanced processors, which have to be smelted from the assemblies, and basically it's extremely resource intensive. I don't know how he managed to get all the materials. He did. He was here for like 24 hours straight. Bravo. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's a clap. You get a clap. Okay, good. And yeah, so these are also all drive bays for Applied Energistics, and they will have what code refers to as dummy drives, basically the smallest drive you can make, just a 1K drive. And we did the math, and how many is it that we're going to get? It was like 10, 16 million drives in total. It was like 160 million worth of storage or something. Or did I do that math wrong? 200 drives, 10 slots, so 2,000. Yeah, so it's like stupid. So there's like 2,000 slots and 1,000 at each slot. So it's like it's like what, 2 million? 2 million storage? Is that wrong? I feel like I'm doing the math wrong, but it's up there. Code is our math guy, so I'm sure he'll tell me. He stopped moving. He must be doing math. All right, never mind then. And yeah, so this is our current to-do list. We have to decorate. That's Lord's job. He's kind of the decorator person. That's what he does. I have to move thermal expansion at some point. I'm putting that off because I'm lazy. We have another layer below this we need to dig out. Yeah, you should probably sleep at some point. We have a layer below this we're going to dig out for the basement and add some more stuff, probably our power supplies, which leads us to number 4, making a stable power supply, which we've got a few ideas, but we don't really have anything set in stone yet because we don't have anything really good for power, to be honest. And then number 6, which is all code, Tinker's construct, enough said. And that kind of wraps up our to-do list and the majority of the changes to the server minus one specific room that I'm going to be going over shortly. But for now, I'm just going to cut here and then I'll come back once I'm ready from there. Alright guys, we're back. This is the room that I wanted to show you guys. We're going to go through a few machines here. But first I wanted to show you guys something. I can fly. Hi, terrible. He'll be back in a second. I'm flying right now. No, I'm not cheating. I'm not in creative mode. No creative mode. This is actually something
Good morning!
Oh my goodness, he's back. Stop. I pressed the wrong button. It's okay. By the way, terrible. I'm recording right now, so shouting is wonderful.
Oh, hello
Yes.
people.
Yes. Okay. So this is advanced genetics. As you can see, we have all the stuff over here on the right. I'm going to get into that in a moment. Yeah, it figured. So basically what I'm going over here is the basic process you have to go through for getting genes and setting them up. You know what? Do we have any animals nearby?
Can I look at this too, because I don't know this stuff.
I don't have a scraper. No, I do have a scraper I put in the chest. Okay, we're gonna go... Oh, that's terrible. I thought we had a battle. All of a sudden I was gonna say yes, I don't have to go anywhere. Okay, I'll be back as soon as I have... Actually, yeah, I'll be back in a moment.
Mark group space.
Thank you, terrible. Alright, we're back. We're at animals. First things
Those
first.
are mine.
The scraper is something that you use to get skin cells off of any animal. It's just an iron ingot and stone rods or stone sticks. I know the stone sticks slash rods, that's a bad example. I want this one. It's basically just 2 stone, either smooth stone, cobblestone, stone brick, whatever. You You get either 4 or you get 2 as per the other recipe. And then you use those with 1 piece of iron to make 1 scraper. And basically all you do is right click on a mob. Oop, that one disappeared. Let's try that again. You right click on it. It does damage it a little bit. You can hit them like 30 or 40 times, but basically you click it once, you get skin scales. As you can see, some skin scales of a sheep. I'm going to get 2 more from the sheep. Half heart of damage. Okay. And we're going to get some from the
Lol.
cows as well. Alright, so we got the cow. And we also have the sheep. Alright, so with that, I'll be right back. I'm just going to go back over to our machine room. Okay, guys, we're
Why
back.
always?
I
Welcome
always
back.
turn off. Welcome back. We're back in our room. I had to charge our cell, which I think I explained last time in thermal expansion. Anyways, here we are. We're back. Now, I still have those skin cells. My game keeps moving everything around, so pardon the really awful sorting. There we go. Okay, hopefully it doesn't sort it again. If it does, I'm sorry. So, the first machine that we want to use in order... Wow, thank you, terrible. In order to get anything out of the skin cells from this mod here, we have to start by putting them into a DNA analyzer. Now, I'll throw them in here, and then I'll actually show you what this does. Now, you stick them in, powers, so on and so forth, fairly straightforward, and then it gives us some output. Now, before we see the output, let's take a look at the actual recipe. Oops, we want to add advanced because I changed Tinkers before. There we go. Alright, so the DNA analyzer. Fairly straightforward. It's just 8 pieces of iron in a square like a chest with a magnifier in the center. Magnifier is just that stone stick or stone tool rod that I showed you before, and a single piece of glass. Now, pardon all the really weird looking glass. It can be just generic glass. This is just from the chisel mod or whatever mod that is, artifice, I think. I don't know. It's some mod in the game adds a whole bunch of different shapes. There's a couple of them actually, but anyways. So that's how you make the DNA analyzer. Now let's take a look and see what we get. We get the cell of a cow. Wow, that's deep. And we also get organic drop. Now the organic drops, I will tell you now, they don't have a whole lot of use. Well, that's a lie. There is a little bit of use for them, but not a whole lot of use for them. The big thing is the actual cell. Now I'm going to throw the rest of these in here quickly. Now, as you can see, it does say overclocker 4. That's because I have upgraded them. That's actually worth doing as well. They are fairly slow initially. Now, the overclocker is actually one of the most straightforward recipes you can imagine. It's literally 4 redstone around a clock in a plus shape. And then clock is just 4 gold with redstone in the middle. Or
10 points for
aluminum
creativity.
brass. I know. It's stupid easy and fairly cheap considering. So that's nice. Oop.
Alright, park it.
Alright, so
Park
now that
it.
we've got that, the next thing that we need in order to actually continue with our cells here is we're going to need the DNA extractor. Now, again, you can also overclock these. You just stick, but in order to use it, you just...
Sorry, excuse me.
Thank you, terrible.
I almost died.
Thank you. That's okay. You just keep interrupting me, but it's okay. Anyways, you throw the cell in there, it uses some power, and it does stuff. Now, before we look at the stuff that it does, let's take a look at the recipe. Where is it? This is one of the annoying ones. DNA extractor, there we go. Alright, so this one's a little bit more expensive. It's still iron, basically in the shape of a U. In the center we have a vanilla Minecraft hopper, which is, you know, iron and a chest in the center, as you can see. The other thing that we're going to need here is the basic DNA dictionary. Now this isn't very expensive, but it can be a pain, and you will need a lot of these. I think I went through about 7 or 8. Well, let's see, at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, at least 6 as a bare minimum. Nope, that's not what I wanted. But at any point. The recipe here is just 4 cells around a book. Now these can be any cells. It shows in the recipe just cell. It can be cell of a cow or cell of a sheep. That doesn't matter. You just throw those together and get yourself a couple of these. I would recommend getting at least 6 of them, I would say. That way you're well ahead of the game. The only annoying part is that cells don't actually stack. So that can be a bit frustrating as you're working your way through it, but you can kind of get around that if you just stick with it long enough. Now, let me just finish processing those while we're working. Now, the DNA extractor will actually give us, oops, I need to fix that because that's not powering anything. There we go. All right, so the DNA extractor will give us a helix encrypted. Now, basically what that is the actual DNA strand found within the cell. Now, I'm going to just quickly process these as well, just so you can kind of see how that works. It's, oops. Again, it's fairly quick. I have an overclocker on it. You probably don't really need the overclockers on the extractor. The extractor is pretty quick on its own. There are a few machines that are considerably slower than this one. I just put them on there just because I like having things go quickly. And there we go. So that's all of our DNA helixes. Now, as you can see, it no longer tells us which ones they belong to, but that's okay. We're not worried about where they came from anymore. This is where we start getting into a little bit more complex stuff, but it's a little bit more interesting, I would say. As you can see, underneath where it says Helix Encrypted, there's a whole bunch of gibberish. 9E1AC FF17AAA. This one's 0C0BBB5E3F AAF17AAA, and so on and so forth. They all contain combinations of those characters. And actually, the best way to actually show that is this one, 9E1ACF. If we look in some of these other ones, you can actually see that it's actually a portion of that long string is repeated in a few of these. What does that actually mean? Well, that actually is not technically, but it's basically a hexadecimal representation of the gene. That's not exactly what it is, but basically he's set aside certain hex codes for certain genes. If you're a computer comp sci person, you'll get it. Otherwise, just know certain short segments of characters represent certain things. So you can actually figure out what's in it before you actually find out what's in it. As you can see here, I've actually written this down. F17AAA is just your basic gene, and then AF17BCF is your flying gene. Now, in order to actually discover that before you write them down and stuff, you actually want to throw those helixes in a DNA decryptor. And that recipe is here. As you can see, we have another basic DNA dictionary, some iron around a single piece of paper. I'm not going to show the dictionary recipe again. And once you've got that, you throw that down and you throw your helix into the decryptor. Now you get back a helix, and where it actually had that giant blurb of information before, it will actually tell you what the genes it holds are in actual English. So the one, I believe it was 9E1 whatever, that one is the infinite milk gene from the cow. So you can give this to something and you can milk it and get milk. So theoretically, and this is getting a bit of ahead of ourselves, but you could give, say, a pig the infinite milk gene and have a pig that gives milk. It does work, but it's a bit strange. So let me process these really quickly here and I'll come back once that's done, just because it's a little bit time consuming. All right, there we go. So they're all done. I've got them all down here. Now again, like I said before, it actually will list the gene. So let's take a look and see what we got from our cow and our sheep. We have the infinite milk gene on this helix. We have woolly, eat grass, and basic gene, so that must be from our sheep. Woolly and eat grass, that's a sheep. Infinite milk and basic gene, that's a cow. Another infinite milk, basic, and then woolly eat. So we have a few, we have 3 from each, and actually this is nice because we actually have fairly obvious one, or which ones came from what. Sometimes you'll get a helix that only has the basic gene, in which case, you don't know where it came from, but that doesn't really make a difference. The basic gene is used for something that we'll look at later, but it's not something you can give yourself. It's not like I have the basic gene. gives me some power that, makes me basic. It's nothing like that. It's literally just a blank gene that does nothing. So moving on from here, what's the next thing we want to do with our helixes? We actually are going to want to split them, put them in a DNA splitter. Now the DNA splitter, let me dig that one up here. Oh, there we go. The DNA splitter is again fairly straightforward. Iron in a U shape as with all the other machines, a diamond in the center, and another basic DNA dictionary at the top. And let me just move our power over. There's my wrench. Are you running around, Code? Are you digging? It's hard to tell. Okay. All right, so we have our DNA splitter here. Now, what this does is it will actually take, or it will show you which genes it has, as we already know, and it will let you pick one of those genes. You can't pick multiple, you can only pick one, and what it will do is it will take that gene and create a cell for it. As you can see over on the side, we have these different genes completed, listed, and not enough items there. So let's throw the infinite milk basic gene in. Now we want to choose infinite milk because, I don't know, we want to make code milkable for some reason. And we get a gene for infinite milk, and we get more organic drops. Now we're also going to do this with woolly. The woolly, I probably shouldn't. Yes, that's right, code, back away. We're also going to make you woolly, so we'll be able to shear you and we'll be able to milk you. And then we also are going to get to eat grass so that you can eat grass and regenerate, however that works. So there, we've got 3 genes. We've got eat grass, we have woolly, and we have infinite milk. Now the last one that we're going to grab here is the basic gene, just so I can show you there's nothing special. It's basically the same thing, but there's nothing overly great about it. You don't get anything, anything overly exceptional from it. It's just kind of there to be there, which I'll explain in a minute. So let's throw this last one in here, and we'll make it a woolly, because why not? We have a couple of those. Alright, so now that we've got our genes, we actually have to do a little bit more with them now. We want to take our genes and we actually have to breed them in the, I believe it's the DNA breeder. Let me just locate that quickly. Yep, there it is, DNA breeder. Again, all the recipes are fairly cheap in my honest opinion. The most difficult part is the DNA dictionaries that are a pain because of the cells. Other than that, fairly straightforward. Just 6 iron ingots, 2 pieces of wheat, and your dictionary gives you your breeder. Now in the breeder itself, I actually already have something sitting here, so this is a good example. We have the gene for fly. Now the way this works with a breeding state, depending on which gene you put in there, they have different amounts of breeding states. Basically, the certain number of steps you have to go through in order to actually complete it. So let me take out the fly gene and we'll put in the infinite milk, because why not? Now, I think I may have missed a step. Did I miss a step? No I did not. Okay. Oh, there we go. Has to go on the right. My bad. So as you can see, breeding state for infinite milk is 6, whereas for fly it's 28. Now as you can see on the fly, it actually is 11 out of 28 right now, which means that I've processed 11 out of the 28 steps. Let me turn my music off. I'll just turn it off. Okay. So we have 0 out of 6. Now I can actually do this because we should have enough, I think. Yes, we should have enough to get this. Now, if you put in a gene that is different from your gene, you should only get 1 breeding state. So I'm going to throw that in there. And actually I lied. You can't stick it in if it's different. You can only stick it in if it's the same, in which case it will give you 2. You can see 2 out of 6. Or if it is a basic gene, you can't stick a different one in there. So that's a little bit depressing. We're only at a 3 out of 6. But as you can see, that's kind of how that works. Now, I'll be right back. I'm going to complete that gene because that's fairly cheap to do. I'm going to complete that gene, then I'll be back to show you the next steps. Okay, we're back. Terrible's playing with one-way glass and having a ball. And we were teaching him, so we made progress. So we have our infinite milk gene. It's been completed now. Now the next step that we want to do here is we actually have to take the gene and combine it with a syringe using the DNA combiner. However, before we can do that, there is actually an additional step. What we want to do now is get ourselves a syringe. Now, Code already has one. It's kind of hard to see it. It's a weird shape, but he already has one. I'm just going to take a quick look at the recipe. It's just an arrow, a glass bottle, and some iron in said shape. And what you have to do, and I don't know if this is based on per player, we haven't tested that yet, but you hold it in your hand and you hold right click, as you can see, and then when you let go, it does damage and it fills it up with blood. Now you can do this to animals as well and it will be green instead. So you can actually do that to inject animals with different genes and the like. Now that we have the syringe, Terrible's standing in front of it, you have to put the syringe in a centrifuge, which is here. The centrifuge is this one. The recipe here is 4 syringes, a basic DNA dictionary, and 4 iron ingots on the edges. And then you get a filled syringe that has been centrifuged. So you take that out of the centrifuge for me, Code. And let me move our cell again because why not? Infinite milk completed. Oh, get rid of this one. Oop. There we go. I almost got rid of the wrong one. Okay. Put this back down so we can power our machines. Now that we have our centrifuged syringe, we want to put the syringe in the combiner, and we're going to put our completed gene. And it's going to stick it into the syringe. It's fairly slow. I know. I like how you're not talking terrible. Fair enough. All right. Now, you would think you could just inject yourself. I would not recommend doing so. You need to stick it back in the centrifuge first. I don't know if you've already done that. Okay. Now this just combines the gene and the other, make sure that there's no issues with it. You take it out, and last but certainly not least, you put it back in your hand, you right click, and then you let go, and as you can see it empties. He's probably experiencing some nausea right now. Usually it's about 5 to 10 seconds. And he may or may not be milkable. We're going to try and find out. I'm going to right click him with a bucket. Oh! What? What? Please tell me that wasn't you. Was that you? Hold on. Hold on. I can't drink it. Crap. Milk. Okay. He is milkable. We have a milk bucket. So we can now get milk from our good friend Code here whenever we're thirsty. I think you can also do that with mushroom stew, if you have a mushroom. And we could actually make him shearable. We could make him woolly, so we could have a fuzzy, milkable Code. We could shear him with shears and get wool from him. But we're not going to do that today. That pretty much wraps up our basic advanced genetics stuff. And yeah, how do you like being milkable, Code? How does it feel? You don't seem too thrilled about it. Yeah. He doesn't seem too thrilled. But that's okay. So yeah, that's advanced no, that's the wrong one. Advanced genetics in a nutshell from start to finish. There is a little bit more you can do with it, insulators and the like that you can use to clone animals, but we don't really need to worry about that too much. All we're going to worry about here is the fact that Code can be milked and leave it at that. So thank you guys for watching. I've been Diego, and if you have any questions, certainly feel free to ask. And yeah, bye-bye.